This video is about the cashier slept on the bench, but the philanthropist gave her the keys to his office. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. In a bustling city, where dreams often collided with the harsh realities of life, lived a woman named Alara. She was in her late 20s, a cashier at one of the local grocery stores, and each day she stood behind the register with a smile that masked her struggles. To the world, she was just another face in the crowd, but beneath her cheerful demeanor, Alara was fighting a battle against the odds. Alara's life had not always been this way. A few years prior, she had been a promising student, bursting with ambition and ideas. She dreamed of pursuing a degree in environmental science and making a difference in the world. However, tragedy struck when her mother fell ill, diagnosed with a chronic illness that drained their meager savings. With bills piling up and no other family to turn to, Alara made the painful decision to drop out of school and support her mother by taking on multiple jobs. Now, she woke up every morning before dawn, taking the bus to the grocery store, where she worked long shifts. After grueling hours on her feet, she would return to a small studio apartment that smelled of old coffee and desperation. Her mother's health continued to decline, and Alara often lay awake at night, her heart heavy with worry about her future. One particularly frigid morning, Alara wrapped herself in an old, tattered coat as she made her way to work. The streets were slick with frost, and the city seemed to exhale a chilly mist. As she approached the store, she noticed a woman sitting on a bench, wrapped in layers of clothing, her hands cupped around a paper cup seeking warmth. Alara's heart ached for her. She knew the feeling of helplessness all too well. "Good morning," Alara greeted the woman, offering her a smile. The woman looked up, her eyes clouded but brightened by the glimmer of kindness. "Morning," the woman replied, her voice hoarse. "Thank you." Alara dug into her pocket and pulled out a couple of crumpled bills. Pressing them into the woman's hand, she said, "Take this. I hope it helps." The woman's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment they shared an understanding that transcended words. Time passed, and the day wore on as Alara rang up groceries and exchanged light banter with customers. She always tried to make them feel valued, even if she felt invisible herself. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, she felt the familiar pain of exhaustion enveloping her. After her shift, Alara made her way to the park where she often found solace. She sat on the same bench she had seen the woman that morning, allowing herself a moment of respite. The park was lit by twinkling lights, casting a warm glow through the crisp air. She closed her eyes, taking deep breaths, trying to recapture some of the dreams she once held there. "Are you all right?" a voice interrupted her thoughts. Startled, she opened her eyes to see a tall, distinguished-looking man standing nearby. He had a kind smile, and his presence radiated warmth. "I am fine, thank you," Alara replied, though her voice lacked conviction. "I am James," he introduced himself. "I often see you here. You have a way of lighting up the place, even in the dark." Alara chuckled lightly. "I don't know about that, but I try." They began to talk, and Alara learned that James was a philanthropist deeply invested in his community. His endeavors focused on providing resources for the underprivileged and fostering opportunities for those in need. As they continued their conversation, Alara found herself sharing bits of her story. She spoke of her mother, her struggles, and the dreams she had shelved away. With every word, she felt a weight lifting as James listened intently. "You have a remarkable spirit," he said after a pause. "It's not easy to keep going when life throws curveballs at you, but I see resilience in you." His words struck a chord deep within her. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I try my best, but it is hard when the future feels so uncertain." James nodded knowingly. "I understand, but sometimes all it takes is a little support to reignite that flame inside. Have you considered continuing your education?" "I've thought about it, but it feels impossible," Alara admitted, a hint of defeat coloring her tone. "What if I told you there is a way?" James leaned in, his eyes sparkling with sincerity. "I run a community program that helps people like you. We offer scholarships, mentorship, and resources to help individuals get back on track." Alara's heart raced, a flicker of hope igniting within her. "Really? You think I could?" "Absolutely," James assured her. "I'd like to help you. You have potential, Alara, and you deserve to pursue your dreams." Tears stung her eyes as Alara battled to contain her emotions. "Why would you want to help me? I am just a cashier." James smiled softly. "Because everyone has the potential to change the world in their own way. It is not about where you start, but where you decide to go from here." In that moment, Alara realized that perhaps she didn't have to carry the weight of her burdens alone. With James' support, she could find a way to reclaim her dreams. They exchanged contact information, and he promised to follow up with her in a few days. As Laura walked back to her apartment, her heart felt lighter. Could this be the turning point she had been waiting for? The thought lingered in her mind like a sweet melody, filling her with hope. Days turned into weeks, and Laura found herself meeting with James regularly. He introduced her to the scholarship program, which provided resources and mentorship for aspiring students. With his guidance, she began to navigate the application process, her heart swelling with determination. Laura poured her soul into her applications, poring over her past experiences and dreams. Every morning, she would wake up early to study, despite her exhausting shifts at the grocery store. Her days were filled with moments of doubt and frustration, but she refused to back down. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, Laura returned to her dimly lit apartment, exhaustion weighing on her like an anchor. She collapsed onto her bed, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. Would she ever truly escape this cycle of struggle? Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a message from James. Remember, every challenge is an opportunity in disguise. You reach closer than you think. Keep pushing forward. His words were like a lifeline, pulling her from the depths of despair. Taking a deep breath, Laura made a promise to herself that she would not give up. She would honor her mother's sacrifices and fight for her dreams, no matter how difficult the journey. With renewed vigor, Laura poured herself into her studies and community work. She volunteered at local charities, helping others, which filled her with a sense of purpose. The act of giving back brightened her spirit and reminded her of the beauty that still existed in the world. Weeks slipped by, and with each passing day, Laura was met with challenges, but also with moments of triumph. She submitted her scholarship application and anxiously awaited the decision. The uncertainty loomed over her like a dark cloud, but she held on to hope, believing in her resilience. One rainy afternoon, as she sat at the bench in the park where she had first met James, she spotted him approaching. His smile was infectious, and Laura felt her heart race with anticipation. "Hey, Laura," he greeted her, his eyes shining with excitement. "I have fantastic news." Her heart raced. "What is it?" "You got the scholarship." He beamed, holding his phone in front of her as proof. "They were incredibly impressed with your application and your story. You are going to be able to pursue your degree." Laura felt the world around her fade away as waves of joy washed over her. "I can't believe it," she gasped, tears of happiness streaming down her face. James pulled her into a warm embrace, and for the first time in years, Laura truly felt like she was standing at the edge of a new beginning. "I knew you could do it," James said, his voice a soothing balm to her soul. "This is your moment, Laura. Embrace it." As she stood with him, the weight of her struggles began to lift. Laura could see a future stretched out before her, one filled with possibilities, laughter, and hope. She was ready to take the first step towards her dreams, and with James beside her, she knew she would not walk alone. But this was just the beginning. More challenges awaited her as she was determined to meet them head-on, fueled by kindness, resilience, and an unwavering belief in herself. And so, with the keys to her future in her hands, Laura prepared to embark on a journey that would change not only her life, but also the lives of others she was destined to inspire. As the weeks turned into months, Laura found herself entwined in a whirlwind of excitement and anxiety. The scholarship meant everything to her, a chance to reclaim the ambitions she had tucked away for so long. Yet the reality of balancing her job, studies, and caring for her mother loomed large, casting shadows of doubt that often crept into her mind. She was now enrolled in evening classes at the community college, where she studied environmental science, her passion reignited. Each lecture felt like a stepping stone toward a brighter future. Her professors were supportive, understanding the challenges many students faced. But with each step forward, Laura felt the weight of her responsibilities pressing down harder. One night, after a long shift at the grocery store, Laura stood in her apartment, staring at the pile of textbooks scattered across her small dining table. The shadows in the room felt heavier than usual. Her mother had been struggling more lately, and the fear of what lay ahead gnawed at her heart. "Mom, are you okay?" Laura called out, hearing the faint sounds of her mother shifting in the next room. "I am fine, dear," came the soft reply, but the weariness in her voice told a different story. Laura knew her mother's condition was worsening, but she couldn't let that distract her. She had to persevere for both of them. With a deep breath, Laura sat down and opened her textbook. The words blurred as exhaustion wrapped around her like a thick fog. She fought to focus, but her mind drifted to her conversation weeks earlier with James, who had become more than just a mentor. He was a beacon of hope. Remember, Alara, it is okay to ask for help, he had said one afternoon as they sipped coffee in the park. You don't have to do this alone. But admitting she needed help felt like admitting defeat. It wasn't how she was raised. As a child, her mother had instilled in her the importance of self-reliance, of pulling oneself up by the bootstraps. Yet, as the pressure mounted, Alara began to realize that perhaps there was strength in vulnerability. Days later, she found herself back at the park, sitting on the same bench where everything had begun. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow on the trees, and she could hear laughter from children playing nearby. It was a stark contrast to the turmoil swelling in her heart. "Hey, Laura." James approached, his warm smile instantly brightening the atmosphere. "You look deep in thought." "Just trying to keep it all together," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. James sat down beside her, his presence calming. "What is on your mind?" Alara hesitated, but the kindness in his eyes urged her to open up. "It is my mom. Her health is getting worse, and I am worried about juggling everything: school, work, caring for her. I feel like I am drowning sometimes." He listened attentively, nodding with understanding. "If that's a heavy load you're carrying, have you thought about reaching out to your professors? They might offer you flexibility with deadlines considering your circumstances." "I don't want to seem like I am making excuses," she replied, the weight of pride laced in her voice. "I should be able to do this." "Everyone needs help sometimes," James said gently. "It is not a sign of weakness, it is part of being human." Laura sighed, feeling the truth in his words but struggling to let go of her apprehensions. "I just don't want to let anyone down." He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You won't let anyone down by asking for what you need. Your journey is not just about your success, but also about learning to lean on others when you need support." In that moment, a flicker of resolve formed within her. Perhaps it was time to acknowledge that strength could manifest in different ways. After their conversation, Alara took a deep breath and decided to approach her professors. The following week, she mustered the courage to knock on the door of her environmental science professor, Dr. Whittaker. Her heart raced with anxiety as she stepped into the office, but she reminded herself that this was her chance to be honest. "MS, Alara," Dr. Whittaker greeted her with a warm smile. "What can I do for you?" Alara's voice trembled slightly. "I wanted to talk about my coursework. I've been struggling to keep up because of my mother's health, and I am worried I might fall behind." Dr. Whittaker's expression softened. "Thank you for sharing that with me. It is important to prioritize your well-being and your family's needs. Let us see how we can work together to help you succeed." To Alara's surprise, he offered her an extended deadline for her assignments and even suggested additional tutoring sessions. Gratitude flooded her heart, and the relief was palpable. It felt like a weight had lifted, and for the first time in a while, she smiled genuinely. Once she left Dr. Whittaker's office, Alara felt emboldened. If she could ask for help in one area, perhaps she could do so in others. Inspired, she reached out to her friends from work, sharing her situation and asking for support when her mother needed care. Her co-workers rallied around her, organizing shifts to help out when she was in class. She was overwhelmed by their generosity, realizing that community could be a source of strength. "Don't worry about it," her friend Lisa said during their break one afternoon. "We're all in this together. You just focus on your studies." With each passing day, Alara found herself thriving despite the challenges. Her mother's condition remained a concern, but knowing she had a support system eased her mind. Alara continued to excel in her classes, fueled by her renewed purpose. As winter melted into spring, Alara's spirits soared. She immersed herself in her studies, pouring her heart into research projects about sustainable living. She even started a small initiative among her classmates to raise awareness about environmental issues in their community. One sunny afternoon, while she was leading a discussion on recycling programs, a sense of joy enveloped her. Engaging others in a cause she was passionate about felt transformative. Perhaps her dreams were not so far out of reach after all. After class, she received a text from James. "I heard about your initiative. I am so proud of you, Alara. You're making a difference." She smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without your support." "Let us celebrate your progress over dinner," he suggested. "You deserve it." At dinner, they talked about everything: her hopes, her plans, and her vision for the future. James shared stories from his philanthropic experiences, inspiring Alara even more. "You have the power to create change, Alara," he said, looking her in the eyes. "Never underestimate your impact." As she listened, it hit her she wanted to be that beacon of hope for others. She wanted to empower those who felt like they were drowning, just as James had done for her. "James, I want to do something more," she said, her voice steady now. "I want to create a program for those who have faced challenges like mine to help them find their way back to their dreams." "That's an incredible idea," James replied, his excitement evident. "With your passion and drive, you can make it happen." Alara spent weeks planning, fueled by determination and the support of her community. She reached out to local organizations and gathered resources, and soon the vision for her program began to take shape. Finally, on a warm spring evening, she held the first meeting for her initiative, Hope for Tomorrow. The room buzzed with energy as she welcomed participants, each sharing their stories of struggle and resilience. As she spoke, Alara's heart swelled with pride. "We're here to uplift one another and to remind each other that dreams are worth pursuing. No matter the obstacles, together, we can find the strength to overcome." Amidst the laughter and camaraderie, she could see the flicker of hope igniting in their eyes, just as it had in hers not so long ago. Weeks turned into months, and Alara's program flourished, bringing together individuals who were learning to believe in their potential. She watched as the community transformed, each participant supporting one another, the stories weaving a tapestry of resilience and hope. Yet through it all, the reality of her mother's health never faded. One evening, Alara received a call from the hospital. The doctors were concerned about her mother's condition. As she rushed to the hospital, fear enveloped her heart. "Mom, I am here," she whispered, taking her mother's frail hand in hers. The weight of impending loss pressed heavily on her, and tears streamed down her cheeks. "Alara, my sweet girl," her mother murmured, her voice barely audible. "You've made me so proud. Keep shining your light. You're destined for great things." Alara squeezed her hand tighter, fighting the urge to break down. "I won't give up, Mom. I promise I'll keep going. You're my inspiration." As days passed, Alara poured herself into her program, dedicating each meeting to her mother's unwavering spirit. She shared stories of resilience and hope, channeling her grief into motivation for others. When the day came for her mother to peacefully pass, Alara felt a profound sense of loss, but also an undeniable. Alara stood at the threshold of her mother's hospital room, the sterile scent of antiseptic heavy in the air. Her heart raced, the weight of grief pressing down on her chest. She had just received the news that her mother had crossed into the realm of peace. For Alara, it felt like the ground had shifted beneath her, leaving her unmoored in a turbulent sea. "Mom," she whispered, stepping inside and gripping the doorframe for support. The bed was empty, the sheets perfectly arranged. For a moment, she couldn't reconcile the absence of her mother with the vibrant spirit that had been her anchor. In the days that followed, the world twisted into a blur of sorrow and obligations. Funeral arrangements were made, and the small apartment they had shared felt hollow. The laughter that once echoed off the walls was replaced by silence, a silence that screamed of loss. Friends and coworkers rallied around her, offering condolences and support. Lisa, her closest ally at work, arrived with a casserole and a comforting embrace. "You don't have to go through this alone, Alara. We're all here for you." "I know," Alara replied, her voice barely a whisper. "It's just hard to breathe without her." As the days turned into a week, Alara found solace in her community, their kindness wrapping around her like a warm blanket. James, too, was a constant presence, checking in regularly and offering gentle encouragement. One evening, he arrived at her apartment, a bouquet of wildflowers in hand. "Hey, I thought these might brighten up the space," he said, his eyes filled with concern. "How are you holding up?" Alara managed a faint smile, grateful for his thoughtfulness. "I am trying. It feels surreal, like I am living in a dream I can wake up from." James nodded, the understanding in his gaze reassuring. "It's okay to feel that way. Grief is a journey, not a destination. You'll find your way through this, even if it takes time." As they talked, Alara felt the heaviness in her heart begin to ease just a little. James listened intently, allowing her to share her memories of her mother, the laughter, the stories, the warmth. Slowly, she began to weave the threads of her past with her present, discovering a sense of purpose buried beneath the sorrow. The following week, Alara returned to her classes. The familiar hallways felt foreign as she walked in, her heart pounding. It wasn't just the challenge of academics that frightened her, it was the fear of being a mud without the guiding light of her mother. But as she entered the environmental science classroom, she recalled her mother's words, "Believe in yourself, Alara, you can do anything." After class, she approached Dr. Whitaker. I just wanted to thank you for your support. It means a lot, especially now." His expression softened. Alara, you're a remarkable student. If you ever need time or support, don't hesitate to reach out. We have resources available to help you. Thank you, I will, she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. It felt good to be among those who cared, and she realized she could channel her grief into her studies. As the weeks passed, Alara immersed herself in her coursework and her community program, Hope for Tomorrow. Despite her heartache, she found strength in her purpose, helping others who had faced struggles similar to her own. During one of the program meetings, she introduced a new initiative aimed at creating a mentorship system. I want each of you to feel supported, she said, her voice steady. We'll all pair up, help each other, and set goals together. Anna, a participant, raised her hand. But what if we don't know what our goals are? Then we'll figure it out together, Alara responded, her enthusiasm contagious. Sometimes it's taking that first tiny step that leads to something bigger. Through laughter and shared stories, Alara watched as the participants began to connect. She felt a flicker of joy ignite within her that had been missing since her mother's passing. Each moment spent empowering others reminded her of the love she had for her mother, the very love that propelled her forward. One evening, as she was preparing for a meeting, James texted her, "Your program is making waves in the community. People are talking about it." Alara couldn't help but grin. "Thank you, James. It feels like it is finally coming to life." "That's because of you," he replied. "Your journey is inspiring so many." At that moment, Alara realized that even in her darkest days, she could bring light to others. She could honor her mother's legacy by being a beacon of hope. She stood taller, feeling the weight of her grief transform into motivation, a mantle she would wear with pride. As spring turned into summer, the initiative continued to grow. Alara organized workshops, brought in guest speakers, and even began outreach to local high schools. She wanted to reach those who felt lost before they even had a chance to begin. One sunny afternoon, she found herself at a high school speaking to a group of students who looked skeptical. "You may feel overwhelmed, like the world is closing in on you," she began. "I've been there, but I am here to tell you that you're not alone. Your story matters, and it is never too late to write it." As she spoke, she caught the eye of a girl sitting at the back, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. Alara could sense the reluctance and pain behind her defensive posture. After the talk, the girl approached hesitantly. "I don't know if I can do what you're talking about," she said softly, her voice trembling. "Why not?" Alara asked gently, kneeling to meet her at eye level. "What holds you back?" "I feel like I don't belong anywhere," the girl confessed, her courage surfacing. "It is like everyone else has it figured out, but I don't even know who I am." "You belong here, with us. Every single one of us has felt that way at some point, but together, we can help you discover your strength," Alara replied, hoping to plant a seed of hope in her heart. The girl's eyes filled with tears, and for a moment, Alara felt an echo of her mother's love, a reminder that she was fulfilling her purpose. As the months continued to unfold, Alara's program flourished, but the echoes of her mother's passing lingered. There were nights when the grief would wash over her like a tidal wave, leaving her gasping for breath. On those nights, she would wrap herself in an old quilt her mother had made, the fabric infused with warmth and love. One evening, she found herself sitting in the park, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. The sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. As she gazed at the beauty around her, she found solace in the memories of her mother, her laughter, her unwavering belief in Alara's potential. "Mom," she breathed, closing her eyes. "I am trying to make you proud. I am doing my best." Just then, James appeared, as if drawn by the warmth of her thoughts. "Mind if I join you?" Alara smiled at his approach. "Not at all. It is nice to see you." He settled beside her, his expression thoughtful. "I've been meaning to talk to you about something." She turned to him, curiosity piqued. "What is it?" "I've been impressed by your work with the program, and I'd like to help expand it further," he said, his voice steady. "We could partner with local businesses to sponsor scholarships, mentorships, even internships for participants." Alara's heart raced at the prospect. "That would be incredible. We could help so many more people." "I believe in you and what you are doing," he replied. "And I think together we can make a bigger impact." The idea filled her with excitement. After everything she had been through, the thought of expanding her program felt like a dream coming to life. "Let us do it," she said, determination echoing in her words. As they discussed ideas, Alara felt a sense of purpose surge within her. They planned meetings, brainstormed with potential local partners, and laid the groundwork for what would become a significant leap forward for Hope for Tomorrow. Weeks turned into months as the program flourished, ultimately leading to a community event to celebrate its success. The sun shone brightly on the day of the event, a lively atmosphere buzzing with energy. Participants showcased their projects, and Alara felt a sense of pride as she walked through the crowd. "Look at all these amazing people," James said, joining her side. "You've created something incredible here." Alara beamed, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." As the event continued, Alara took to the stage, her heart pounding. She looked out at the crowd, her voice steady. "Thank you all for being here today. This program is not just about individual success, it is about community, resilience, and hope. Together, we can uplift one another and create a brighter future." The applause that followed echoed in her heart, a warm embrace of unity and love. She spotted the girl from the high school in the crowd, her face bright with determination. Alara stood on the stage, the warm sun on her face, and a crowd of eager faces looking back at her, each filled with anticipation and hope. It felt surreal to her. Just a year ago, she had been a struggling cashier, lost in the shadows of responsibility and grief. And now here she was, the founder of A Hope for Tomorrow, a program that had become a beacon for so many. She took a deep breath, remembering her mother's encouraging words, "You are destined for great things." As she looked out over the crowd, her gaze met the young girl from the high school. The girl's eyes sparkled with newfound determination, a reflection of Alara's own journey. In that moment, Alara felt a surge of emotion. This wasn't just about her success, it was about the collective journey they all shared. She cleared her throat, grounding herself in the present. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice steady, yet full of raw emotion. "When I started this program, I was navigating my own struggles. I didn't know if I could ever rise above the challenges life threw at me, but I learned that strength is not the absence of struggle, it is how we rise from it." Applause filled the air as she continued. "Each of you has your own story, your own battles, but it is together that we can find the light amidst the darkness. Together, we inspire change." As the crowd cheered, she felt the warmth of connection enveloping her. But she also felt the weight of her responsibilities. The memory of her mother lingered like a shadow, reminding her of the sacrifices that had led her here. She had dedicated every moment to her community program, but deep down, the void of her mother's absence still echoed. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of purple and orange, Alara sat on the bench where it all began. James joined her, carrying 2 cups of steaming tea, the aroma wafting through the air. "You were incredible out there," he said, handing her a cup. The energy was electric. "Thank you, James," Alara replied, a smile forming on her lips. "I couldn't have done it without you. Your belief in me has made all the difference." James took a sip of his tea, contemplative. "You've put in the hard work, but I think it is more than that. You've turned your pain into purpose, and that is powerful." Alara's heart swelled with gratitude. "I just wish my mom could have been here to see it." He studied her for a moment, his expression softening. "She is here, Alara, in every success, every person you've inspired, she is with you." Tears pooled in her eyes as she nodded. "You are right, I feel her in everything I do. I want to make her proud." James reached out, gently squeezing her hand. "And you are giving others the strength to find their own paths. That legacy is beautiful." They sat in silence for a moment, allowing the weight of the day to settle. Alara's heart felt full, yet the ache of loss remained a duality that had become part of her existence. "Do you ever wonder if we were doing enough?" she asked, breaking the silence. "Every day," James admitted, his honesty refreshing. "But then I remember that progress is not always linear. Every small step counts." Alara sighed, looking out at the park where children played in the fading light. "I just want to reach everyone who feels lost. I want them to know that their story matters." "You are already doing that," James reassured her. "The community is stronger because of you. You've created a ripple effect of hope." Weeks turned into months as the program continued to grow, but the challenges also mounted. Alara faced obstacles, funding issues, outreach struggles, and the emotional toll of her own grief. There were days when she felt overwhelmed, staring at her computer screen, battling self-doubt. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Alara sat at her desk, the weight of her responsibilities pressing down on her shoulders. She absent-mindedly scrolled through her phone, stopping at a photo of her mother, taken during a sunny day at the park, their favorite place. "Mom, I miss you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I don't know if I can keep doing this." Just then, her phone buzzed with a message from one of the participants, Anna. "Hey, Alara, I wanted to say thank you. I've started writing again because of you." You re-inspired me to pursue my dreams. Alara's heart swelled with warmth. In that moment, she realized that she wasn't just a leader, she was a catalyst for change. Tears streamed down her cheeks as hope washed over her. Maybe I can do this, she whispered to herself. The following week, Alara organized a community workshop focused on creativity and self-expression. She invited local artists and writers to share their stories, emphasizing the importance of finding one's voice. The room buzzed with excitement as participants engaged in discussions, their passion igniting the air. As Alara facilitated the workshop, she noticed the same girl from the high school in the audience, her eyes wide with curiosity. After the session, the girl approached Alara, her hands fidgeting nervously. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course, what's on your mind?" Alara replied, her encouraging smile reassuring. "I want to write, but I am scared," the girl admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Fear is natural," Alara said gently. "But remember, every great writer started with a blank page. Your voice matters. It is okay to be vulnerable in your writing. That is where the magic happens." With newfound determination, the girl nodded. "Okay, I'll try." Alara watched as she walked away, a sense of pride swelling in her heart. Every moment spent empowering others reminded her of the light that still existed in the world, even in the face of adversity. As summer rolled in, Alara's program celebrated its one-year anniversary. The community gathered at the park, vibrant banners flapping in the breeze, laughter echoing through the air. Participants showcased their projects, and the atmosphere was filled with joy and hope. "Welcome, everyone," Alara called out, her voice steady and confident. "Today we celebrate not just our achievements, but the connections we've rebuilt. Together, we've recreated a community filled with resilience and strength." The crowd erupted into applause, and Alara felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. She spotted James in the audience, his smile beaming with pride. After the speeches and activities, Alara took a moment to herself, savoring the beauty of the day. As she strolled through the park, memories flooded her mother's laughter, her unwavering belief in Alara's potential. Suddenly, a voice broke her reverie. Off. It was Anna, the girl who had shared her writing aspirations. "I did it. I wrote a short story, and I shared it at school. That was terrifying, but I did it." Alara's heart swelled. "That is amazing. Anna, I am so proud of you. How did it feel to share your work?" "It felt liberating," Anna confessed, her eyes shining. "I realized that my story matters, just like yours matters." In that moment, Alara understood the true impact of her journey. It was about creating a space for others to find their voices, to embrace their vulnerabilities, and to rise above their struggles. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, Alara gathered everyone for a group photo. In that moment, surrounded by faces filled with hope, she felt her mother's presence enveloping her like a warm embrace. "Thank you all for being part of this journey," she said, her voice barely containing the emotion. "Together, we will continue to uplift one another and inspire change in our community." As the camera clicked, capturing the essence of their shared resilience, Alara knew that this was just the beginning. She had transformed her pain into purpose, and in doing so, she had ignited a fire within others. And as they all stood there, united by the stories, she felt an overwhelming sense of hope for the future, a future brightened by the human spirit's unyielding strength. In that moment, she realized that the journey was never just about herself, it was about the connections forged, the lives changed, and the legacy of what she would carry forward. As the applause faded and laughter filled the air, Alara stood tall, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. With the keys to her future firmly in hand, she stepped into the light of endless possibilities, determined to continue shining hope into the lives of those who needed it most.